a lot of credibility. If you come in and can be upfront and honest and say, actually in this application, I think this product over here that I don't represent would be better for you. That all of a sudden now you become a trusted advisor rather than a salesman.
And I often say that we have all the requirements of space, right? Because it has to go underground and send us data from miles and miles away, and it has to work. Like, failure is not an option.
We'll put on, a shoe. Ours is slightly different just for that, but it's, everybody's got one.
The top drive and the drawworks really don't care whether the electrons coming at it are from a joystick or a PLC.
The panel, what you see here on the left, which is now controlled by one of my students, is showing you actually the control of our brakes.
As of now, geothermal is a pretty small market.
If you have tortuosity, the casing will be up against the side on part of the well. There won't be any cement there. The cement will have crescent around it.
So managed pressure drilling, it's been defined as a process to precisely control the pressure profile in the wellbore.
The key is being transparent with our clients in this case. So tell them what happened. If we had a failure, tell them exactly what happened. Whether it's our fault, whether it's whatever the issue was, we need to be transparent.
I think it's very important for everyone in the industry to know what's out there and kind of what's happening downhole as well.
I've probably worked on over 40 different performance limiters in my career. If I miss any of those and the computer is raising weight on bit and I miss any of those, I have a train wreck. The computer's going in the ocean.
Here's your new colors, here's your new thing. We won't do that at all.
Here's the tattoo you need to get.
Yeah, here's the tattoo. Sorry about the last one. We used to fake that all the time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. This is the V-Door Locksmith Show. I am your host, David Gibson, where we are unlocking the secrets to success in the oil and gas industry, one interview, one presentation, and one technical screw-up at a time. I'm so happy that all of you guys are here to join me today. Really excited about today's show. Getting back into the normal swing of things, planning out the schedule a week in advance as opposed to having to scramble and do things last minute. I really do appreciate last week Melanie Woods came on, helping me out in the tight spot, and we had a great conversation. If you were looking to be able to gain any more information about the job search, what to do, how to put your resume together, what recruiters are looking for, what you should be doing to be able to catch the eye of HR, how to be able to get past ATS systems. There was a lot of really good information in last week's show. You can watch that, or I'd also recommend just be able to go over to Melanie Woods' website, CGL Recruiting, and or their YouTube channel as well. There's tons of videos, tons of content in there. So if you are in the search of a new job, some great information out there to be able to go and check out. On the show today, we've got Marco Perez, who is the Global Manager of Drilling Engineering at Weatherford, on the show today to be able to talk about tons of things drilling engineering related, and to be able to field and answer your questions. Speaking of which, this show is live. If you guys have never tuned in before, let me know. We'd love to hear from you and be able to get some of that. I've also got a question for this week because I've never asked this question before. How many of you are watching on PC versus on your mobile device, either iPad or cell phone or something like that? Curious to see what the uptake is as far as the two different platforms there. As well as let me know where you guys are watching from, who you are, how many shows you've seen, and if you have any other general message. So let's get to it. Let's see here. Where's the thing? There it is. Okay. Got to put some branding into the show. Got to work on my brand a little bit more. Not many people know who I am or who the show is. What the show is. All right, guys. So hey, I'm here. Check that out. I'm also here on Facebook. Okay, that was just me testing stuff out the other day. All right, Eric's tuned in. Thanks you, sir. He's always here. I really do appreciate that. Love Friday. Matt Hills tuning in. I shouldn't say as always, but I love it when he does tune in. So we've got Mark watching from South Africa. Wow, long ways away. Also, who else is watching while shaving their legs? Work from home. All right, I guess we'll see. Okay. Good work. David, Patty Murphy tuned it in. Thank you, sir, for being here. David says hello to everyone. Mark checked in, watching on YouTube. Yeah, if you guys would watch on YouTube today, I would really, really appreciate it. And I do have I can't believe I forgot about this. This was on my list of things to talk about today. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to the YouTube channel. I am working on the surprise that goes with that. Now that I've been able to get the subscription level up, I have now started all the testing phase for that video shoot. The testing is going really well. It's going really, really, really well. Working out the logistics and the companies that may be helping me out with it. Speaking of which, one of those companies, so this will be your clue for this week. One of the companies that's helping me out with it is TalkBox. An amazing company. They help supply remote internet, cell phone capacity out at the rig sites. So I want to be able to give a big shout out to the guys at TalkBox. Thank you so much for even just taking my call the other day and being a potential, I don't want to say sponsor, but like partner in that video shoot. A lot of what I do for that event is going to hinge on them. So the guys at TalkBox, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, if you guys can, check it out on YouTube here. I'll put the link over in, if the link is now in LinkedIn, help me out a lot if you guys do watch on YouTube, because there's some more testing that's going on with that. So, or just open up LinkedIn and YouTube at the same time. Let them both just let them run. It'll help out tons. All right, so back to saying hi to everybody. So yeah, me and Mark just connected this week. We've been talking in the comment section, just never even noticed that we weren't connected this week. So if you guys haven't connected with me yet, be sure to do so. Reach out on LinkedIn. Great place for us to be able to connect. So do that. Back over to the comments because they are coming in hot and heavy now. And I scrolled too far. Jenny says she's on mobile while shaving her legs. Kimberly says, first time viewer from Texas watching from her iPhone. Kimberly, well, thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. There's tons of old episodes. I think this is episode 80. I think this is number 80. Show 80, episode 80, something like that. The numbering system's bad, so we're just going to say it's 80 and we'll stick with it. Right? Started out on Mac, hand off to mobile, so you don't miss a beat. Thank you so much. Henry Mata from Houston, thank you for being here. Juan tuning in from Katy. Matt Hill says, phone headed to a rig in Oklahoma. All right. Love to hear people headed out to rigs. Paco in Spain, watching on his iPhone. Cool, thank you guys. Fred from Houston. Larry's watching on his PC. Larry's doing a really cool project. If you guys haven't, check it out. I think it's Maverick Energy. If that's right, Larry, go check that out. I think he's got some stuff there on his website. He contacted me the other day about some of the stuff they're working on. It's really cool. All right, thanks so much for watching there in Dubai. Appreciate it. Got to get through these a little bit quicker. From Perth. That's where I started my career, was in Perth. Lived in Subiaco with a couple of my buddies there. Hi from UAE. Watching on YouTube, awesome background. Which camera are you using for hosting the show? So the camera that I'm using is a Panasonic Lumix GH4 with a 25mm f1.7 lens. All run through a Elgato cam link. I've got a ring light, a hair light, if you can see it. Boop. Even though I don't have any hair. Oh, did I just screw that up? All right, hold on. Technical difficulty. Scoot over just a, oh, I can't scoot it over anymore. That's gonna mess things up. Shouldn't have done that. All right, don't touch with the set. So that's kind of what my setup is here. Streaming everything through StreamYard. Love all of my friends over at StreamYard. Andy McDonald says, hey from Scotland, watching on his phone. If you guys haven't, connect with this guy on LinkedIn 100% if you're doing anything in Python. If you're trying to learn how to code and do oil and gas related things in Python, this guy's putting out amazing content. Absolutely amazing. We might even need to do like a whole Python show with all of the people that put stuff out there on LinkedIn or even on to GitHub. But he's definitely one of those people. He's putting lots of great stuff out there. So is Johnny Gorka. Is Johnny watching today? Usually he comments, but glad to have him here. All right, so we got Kazakhstan tuning in. Barbados, man, I'd love to go there. Alberta, Kimrose, Alberta is watching. Okay. Long time no see, Marco. Hey, David. Oh, so listen, we get some of Marco's friends. Sunil, thanks for 1,000 subscribers. Sunil's my design graphics guy. Absolute amazing guy. Thank you so much. How to subscribe, a YouTube link. Let me drop the link again. There we go. It's in the link is in the comment section on LinkedIn. Send bits. Send bits. Send what bits? I already sent you a drill bit. Hello, everyone. Gilman here from Venezuela. First-time user using a cell phone. Gilman, thanks so much for being here. Gilman? If I'm pronouncing it in Spanish correctly. Speaking of which, April 1st, we'll be doing a show solamente en español. Right? I have been practicing my Spanish. I have been practicing. Yo voy a tratar más duro para... Oh, damn. I'm going to need to practice some more. So, all right, let's see. Back over here to the comments. Hello from the North Slope. Wow, watching it from the North Slope. That's awesome. On YouTube now. Hello from Alberta. Somebody said 0. That's cool. I'll take that. Paul Morse tuning in from the Permian. The guys over at Vibration Technology. Glad to have them tuning in and watching the show. I hope I didn't miss anybody. So Carlos tuning in from Villanueva. We got Tomball, Texas. Casi buena pronunciación. Okay. All right. I worked with the... I think I got everybody. If I did skip somebody, hey, you guys let me know. I apologize. All right. So anyways, like I said, really excited about today's show. If you guys can, please jump over and watch on YouTube. Really would appreciate it. Like I said, testing a couple of things out. Still getting... Gotta have test at Catoosa before you go running whole with Pioneer, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Don't want to have it. Trying to reduce as many failures as possible when we're doing stuff. So, most important, Lee House, man, thank you so much for being here. He's one of the long time watchers of the show, so really do appreciate that. And Italy. Man, we are really getting the international audience going today. Maybe it's because of our guest today. So, all right. So here's what we're gonna do. Let me find the button. There it is. So, really important. There's an individual that I've been having come on my show and provide 1 minute of his knowledge and expertise to be able to come on and talk in an effort to be able to raise his brand awareness for him individually so that he can potentially get himself a job. He will get a job. We know he will get a job. It's just a matter of time before whoever's out there watching this, whether it's somebody who's unemployed who meets somebody who's looking for his talent, or a hiring manager finally goes, you know what? Sounds like an excellent person to be able to bring onto the team. If I had the money, I would bring him onto mine right now. So here is your minute with Keith.
Thanks, David. Good morning, everybody. I had planned out this nice little quick presentation about the marketing and the things I could bring to a team with what I've been doing on LinkedIn. Added up my views, my viewership and the reach I've been getting. Even though my network on LinkedIn isn't the largest, I've only got about 5,000 connections. For the month of March, for the first 19 days, I've had about 135,000 views on the content that I've put out there. But I saw a post, which, is the beautiful thing about social media. You never know what you're going to find out there. And Angie Dawson with Moffitt Services basically had a post. They've had a fellow employee, their house burnt down. And they've lost everything, and they're trying to raise money to help this individual out. So I'm trying to, instead of helping myself, take the time, throwing it out there. I have the link if you're not connected with her. I did a post this morning. Maybe David could share it in the comments as well. It's in the post comments. It's a link to Angie's post, which has the information and the fundraising that they're trying to do to help this individual out who lost their home. And hopefully, with the audience we have here, we're the oil field's great community, always been amazing to me. That's why I continue to try and stay in it. And hopefully we can all come together and take the time and check it out. If you can't donate, then maybe share the post and make it go as far as it possibly can. That's the beauty of social media, digital marketing these days. You never know who's watching. Thanks, David, for having me on once again. I think my search is getting shorter and shorter every day, and it's really, thanks to you. You're a big part of it, and all the help and guidance you've given me along the way. So once again, thanks for having me on your show.
And that was your Minute with Keith. Always looking out for the community. What a great guy. All right, so next up, we've got our guest of the day, Marco Perez from Weatherford. This is your clip for how it's done. Just want to let y'all know, I think we've only got 2 more spots left to fill for this season. 2 more spots. So if your company wants to be a part of one of the best produced, edited, shot, if somebody sees something of higher quality content in a short video series within the oil and gas industry, please point it out to me. Because if they think it can top this, I want to be able to see it. So this is how it's done. Be sure to stay tuned. We should be rocking out season 2 probably within the next month or 2. So here's this, and we'll be back with your guest of the day. All right, here we are. Marco, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, David. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate that. Good morning to you. Good afternoon. I saw a lot of people, from different parts of the world. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone.
Well, I would say that everybody that we're watching, since this is like the main portion of the show, first of all, if you work at Weatherford and you're not sharing this or tagging one of your friends to join in and watch this, Marco's going to find out, and you guys it's going to come up on your annual review. They're going to be, did you share the Vidor Locksmith when Marco was president, right?
Yep.
So we know all of his competitors are watching, because that happens all the time on this show. Somebody comes on and all their competitors are watching. So we'll say hi to all of the competitors. We're not going to mention their names today, but you guys know who you are. So thanks to you guys for watching. So please be sure to share this. Marco, first, right out of the gate, give us a quick background on who you are.
Yeah, excellent. My background, mechanical engineer. I am originally from Mexico. I started in the oil and gas industry back in 2001. So pretty much 20 years in the oil and gas industry. It has been a fantastic ride so far. Multiple different roles. I started working for one of the major service companies in the directional side as a field engineer. And I'm really, really proud about having that opportunity to work in the field as an MLWD engineer, then cross-trained as a directional driller a little bit. Then I moved to a transition role into the office. I was working for a drill bit company, also one of the major ones as well. And then got the chance to come back to my starting company as a drilling engineer. So I was working as a drilling engineer and then senior drilling engineer and so on. Got the opportunity to work in deep water environment, Gulf of Mexico. So really, really good experience there. Got that very good opportunity. And then, one thing that I really like about you, David, is that you always say, move out of your comfort zone. So, and pretty much that is what I did. I moved to the business part and started doing technical sales for an expandable company. And, I did that for about 6 years or so. Great experience, develop a few additional set of skills. Basically develop business and so on for that company. And then I land in Weatherford back in 2017. September 2017 is when I took this role. So that is just a quick run through my career.
Well, awesome. I mean, it's great to be able to hear doing the multiple different parts, because I know a lot of times when, I myself have a mechanical engineering background, you go from mechanical engineering, which is usually a stereotypically individuals that may be introverted or not very outgoing, and wanting to talk to a lot of people, and it takes a little bit to be able to kind of break away from that shell and then be able to start, being on the sales side, where it helps to be a little bit more of a social individual and be a little bit extroverted. So it's really cool to be able to see you kind of go through those transitions and then back into to where you're at. So hey, anybody out there that's watching, guys, be sure to start throwing off your questions, because if you don't, I'm going to end up asking all the questions today, because I've got a ton of stuff lined up. But doesn't mean that we can't get y'all's in there. So please be sure you guys throw your questions out there. So Marco, one of my big questions is being a drilling engineer with a service company, what does that really entail as opposed to being a drilling engineer for an operator? Because most of the time you see drilling engineers, they're working for, the oil and gas companies. How does that role differ, you think, being on the service side versus being on the operator side?
Yeah, no, great question, David. And, I guess at some point we put that question in our minds during our career, and I'm sure the audience will have that question as well. So to answer that, and before we dive into the differences and get into the granularity of all that, one thing that we need to recognize is that both of us, we are engineers, right? So engineering approach is the same, and you have your mechanical engineering background as well. So for an engineer, basically, and as you know, and probably most of the audiences, it has some sort of engineering background. We pretty much use scientific principles to design, build, structure machines, deliver wells, or some sort of product that we produce. Now, and we have different set of skills, right? So for an operator, the drilling engineer, and I think you had Brandon, one of the Brandon Foster, and I really watched that, right? So he was talking about, how the drilling engineer in the operator side, he is loaded with a lot of paperwork to do, right? I mean, not everyone, but that is kind of the tendency, right? Submit a permit to drill, talk to G&G and all those kind of things. So their main objective is basically to deliver that well and produce hydrocarbons, right? For a drilling engineer, for a service company in particular, Weatherford, I am in the drilling services side, which is the directional drilling side, right? But big companies like Weatherford, we have a big catalog of different products, right? So how can we integrate all that and come up to the customers and bring a technical solution, right? So so that is pretty much let's say in a nutshell the main differences that I can see. Being drilling engineer for a service company, you have exposure to multiple projects. You don't probably get all that visibility on what is happening on after we drill the well and so on. And then the drilling engineer for the operator is more into that. So I mean, we will talk more, I guess, as we go. But overall, that is what I can tell at the moment. I don't know if I answered that.
No. I mean, so one of the big, I think, maybe one of the biggest challenges for the direction of drilling, MWD, even just the drilling business in general, is that lack of visibility. What happens with the well after we leave, right? I've always heard about the silos of like drilling and completions and production are all, and then land and legal are always in these different departments at the operator's offices. So if that's happening within the operator, then obviously it's probably going to be happening to the service company. Would it help to have more visibility of what takes place with the well after you've finished the drilling project?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that is pretty much the approach that we are taking here, right? I mean, we want to make sure that we deliver the wells. And actually, we have a mission, our mission statement here at Weatherford for our team or our community of drilling engineers, right? So we want to ensure that the operators, they safely deliver their wells, right, and achieve the technical limit. We are striving to achieve the technical limit. What are the barriers that are limiting us to achieve that, right? And then one more important thing is the wellbore position. Sometimes, from the drilling engineering point of view, you are focusing on, well, I just want to deliver the well and put the well in the ground. But is it accurately positioned, that wellbore, or not, in where we want it to be, right? So all those factors, they will, come into play. And as you mentioned, looking what is happening after that, after we drill the well, we deliver the well, it is as relevant as when we are planning for the well, right? So yeah, short answer is yes, it is important.
So we definitely have some questions coming in. I'm going to fire off one more that kind of goes off of what you just said. Wellbore positioning. So I am part of the ISC-WSA Industry Standards Committee for Wellbore Survey Accuracy. I'm on the Education Subcommittee, which should be renamed Industry Awareness. So this is my chance to be able to put us kind of out there on the limelight. How do you, within your team, be able to communicate to your clients the importance of wellbore positioning?
Yeah, good question. So let's say my team, my direct team is basically, we have our geomechanics product champion, we have our wellbore positioning product champion, and then the drilling engineering arm of that team, which is myself and another engineer working in at the global team. So that global or that wellbore positioning role taken by our product champion, his objective is basically drive this concept to our customers. What is the importance of having all that in consideration when we are planning a well? So we want to move away from just drawing a trajectory, because that is what the customer gave us, the geological target here and there, and then we don't really care about the driller's target. How big is going to be the EOU, how are we going to plan our survey program, and so on. So how are we going to ensure that we are going to be in the place that we were planning to be? So actually, our wellbore positioning manager is also part of that committee in the collision avoidance subcommittee, basically.
Well, good. Glad to hear that. All right, guys, I'm going to fire up that link for YouTube. Check it out on YouTube, please, one more time. All right, so we've got a couple of questions that have come in. So normally when these questions come in, we're going to be jumping around a little bit, but here we go. So Paul asks, Marco, do you think that to move and grow in an organization, you definitely need sales experience besides technical or just field experience?
Yeah. Short answer, Paul, I think you do, right? And I just want to kind of illustrate with this with an example, right? When I was doing the interview to get this job, the guy that was interviewing me, he said, well, what have you sold before, right? How come are you applying for a technical sales position? So, and I remember that, still, and I said, well, I'm selling myself right now, I'm, this is what I'm doing right now. So if I can convince you that, I am the guy that you are looking to fill this position, then, I did a good job. I achieved that. So great question. I think as a drilling engineers, we need to move away from what is the typical prototype of a salesperson, right? I mean, we are technical sales engineers, basically, right? And there is nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that we are going to go away from our engineering skills, which, again, for engineers, pretty much all of us, we should have the same set of skills. We should be able to identify the problem. We need to be able to define the problem, solve it. And when you are doing sales, pretty much you are doing something very similar, right? So you need to find the opportunity. You need to kind of define and set your strategy and go and execute, right? So to me, great question. I think it's fundamental for the drilling engineers to have that set of skills as well.
So in a follow-up question to that, then obviously there's a lot of people in field roles, there's people in technical roles where it's, R&M or just being, like you said earlier, like they're the geotechnical expert. What's a good way to be able to then just say, hey, look, I want to transition into sales? Is it just more or less just having that conversation with your superior and say, hey, I'm ready to step outside of my comfort zone and go do this?
Yeah, no, I mean, that is a good question. And I think as an industry, we need to, and as managers, we need to have that wider vision of our employees, right? And if an employee is coming to have that desire, for me, when I'm managing my team, I'm pretty open. And, if I see that a particular employee has that drive, has that energy, is hungry to go for it, I mean, either in our company or in another company, he is going to go and look for it. I mean, and to be honest, that is what happened. I was doing the drilling engineering side for about 6 years in Gulf of Mexico. As I said, great experience. But I was, I did that, and after a certain period of time, you get to the routine, right? And when I get to that kind of plateau level, I look for another challenge, another thing that I can do, and that is what I did. I moved to technical sales. When I talked to my manager about that, and they said, well, how come a drilling engineer you're going to be a sales guy? I mean, no, that is not the route, that is not the path that you're supposed to follow. You need to have a different set of skills, and I'm not going to put you in front of the customer. The good thing is that when I was doing drilling engineering for that service company, I was in-house one of the operators, right? So I was able to talk and see exactly what the drilling engineer for the operator was doing and where I could add value. That was the name of the game. What can you bring to the table from the technical point of view? It didn't need to be a product that I was selling. Obviously, yes, that is part of it, and everyone is in business, right? And obviously is part of it. But when you go and talk to the operators, drilling engineers, and they see that you are coming to help them and come up with a technical solution, then you break that barrier, right? I mean, you get and move into a complete different field, and you get a good relationship with them. It is not anymore supplier and customer.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for answering. So we got a couple more questions that still are coming in. You guys, if you've got anything out there, please share or throw them out there. It says, Marco, there are so many engineering challenges out there. I'm sure you spend lots of time listening to people's problems. What was your most challenging new technology application you can share? Or just tell us what you're not allowed to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question, right? I mean, and I agree, multiple challenges. I guess, I mean, this is difficult to answer because there are, I mean, many things that are, I got involved, and it was really challenging to accomplish. Now, I mean, I can probably give, let's say, one example. I don't know if it is the most difficult one, but definitely it was one of the most difficult for me, right? And that was how to deploy, and this particular case, again, moving back into my background, how to deploy these expandable liners in deep water Gulf of Mexico, but on the Mexico side, right? That we knew that there was a need for it in certain applications, but the adoption of that technology was not there. I mean, it was just starting, while on the U.S. side, in deep water Gulf of Mexico, it was more accepted. So that is one thing that I can probably answer. How I can answer that particular question in terms of challenges. Now, one more thing that I would like to add on that one. we are typically talking about, nowadays, digitalization, automation, and so on. But materials is very important. We are really pushing to have higher temperature and higher, stronger materials to survive downhole conditions. So, Scott, hope I answered your question the way that you were expecting. If not, we can connect offline. But yeah.
All right, guys, if y'all got any more questions, be sure to keep throwing them out. So one of the things that you mentioned about earlier was being able to get outside of your comfort zone. How do you get your team of engineers to be able to step outside of their comfort zone? And what does it really mean to be able to step outside of your comfort zone as a drilling engineer?
Yeah. So this is a good question again.
That's all we're asking today, Marco.
Yep,
we're only asking good questions.
Excellent. Yeah. So just to give you an example and paint the picture right in here, and so we have a training program within Weatherford for our drilling engineers, right? And the first day of that training, I go there and I open up the class and we spend probably 30 minutes or an hour just talking about drilling engineering. But not drilling engineering in the sense of, well, let's do hydraulic simulation, torque and drag, and things like that. No, it's where we stand and where do we want to be, right? How can we improve, right? And one of the ways to really move everyone is look at the numbers, right? Look at the service quality percentage that we have, right? So if there is a service quality event and we are not taking actions, that is, we are lacking. We are not doing our jobs. And the perception sometimes is, okay, well, a drilling engineer is just planning a well. It's just, well, you just plan the well, do the trajectory, and send it to the customer. They accept it, send it to the, to get the permit approved for the well, and that's it. That is, that is just probably 10% of what a drilling engineer supposed to be doing, right? So we have the full cycle. We have the design, execution, evaluation, and optimization cycle, right? If we are not doing any or one of these areas, then definitely we're not doing our jobs. And it is black and white when we say this is what you should be doing. This is where you are right now. You need to move out of your comfort zone to reach there. You are not getting there because you don't have the competency or you don't have you are just status quo in there, just doing what you were taught that you're supposed to be doing, but you don't have the full picture of what the role is, right? So and we have constantly peer reviews and things like that on projects. We ask a lot of questions. We exercise a lot of critical thinking, right? When we do these peer reviews, right? So I'm not on every single peer review, but definitely on the critical ones, and we have our ratings for different wells, right? Tier 1 through 4 and so on. So definitely, challenging the way that they are presenting, let's say, a BHA, the way that they plan a hydraulics scenario, a torque and drag, rather than just clicking a button and getting a report and a result, is asking, well, give me the basis of design. What was your thought process to put this BHA together? How did you select the bit? How did you why did you put this stabilizer right here? It could be that it is right. I'm not saying that it is a wrong approach. It's just I want to hear from them. What is the justification to have that particular design? And by doing that, I think is how we're pushing them out of the comfort zone, and that is how we're doing our continuous improvement plan, part of the continuous improvement plan that we have.
So one question I've got for you now, we do have, hey guys, keep asking your questions. Great to see. So Paul and Joshua will get to you guys in just a second. One of the things that's always surprised me is how infrequent sometimes drilling engineers are at the actual rig site location for the projects that they are essentially, that they're the ones designing and managing. For you and your team, I know that obviously you're looking at a global team and it's not always easy, especially during the pandemic, to be able to go to the rig site. How are you guys overcoming that challenge? And if things were back to normal, how often would you like to be able to see your team, or just a drilling engineer in general, be able to go out to the rig site for the projects that they're managing?
Right. So yeah, if we put COVID on the side for a minute, right? I mean, just how it's supposed to be. Definitely part, as you mentioned, part of the yearly appraisal process that we have is they need to have rig visits, right? They need to be on the rigs visiting the wells that they are planning. And one good example is, let's say in Mexico, prior to COVID, we have our drilling engineering manager over there, and he goes to the rig, and even sometimes, his background is he was a DD over there, and then migrate into the drilling engineering side. So he was running our rotary steerable tool in the field. So, but now he got to the other side where it is not just executing, but looking at the design and then what is happening after we do the run, right? So definitely it is highly captured in our objectives to do rig visits. Again, being COVID aside. But now, the other way is how we are doing things right now. Where we have our RTOCs, which are the remote operating centers, and we're covering in that way many of our applications, right? So what I encourage and what it is part of the push, I guess, if you will, to our drilling engineers is to be connected with these RTOCs. They need to at least they need to be reading the daily reports from the rig. Well, if I go and ask them what is happening on the rig right now, I expect them to have the answer at the moment. They need to know that every day. And there are ways to have that. I mean, as I said, we have the RTOCs. We have ways to overcome that at the moment. But it's critical that we have that field experience, or that field exposure. But to do that, you need to start with your foundation, which should be a field engineer. So that is part of our career path in drilling engineering, Weatherford.
I can always say one of my ways to be able to learn things of what was taking place at the rig the fastest was to manually transcribe all of the IADC report information. I think that's what helped me learn the absolute most, especially since it was something that was documented and turned the driller or the OIM or whoever was in charge of it at that point in time was having to turn it over to somebody else. It was probably the most legible and the most consistent document that I could read on a daily basis to be able to really understand what was taking place, or trying to understand what was taking place, because at the time I was reading those, I had no clue what was going on. And I can't say that I do now, but I've got a better idea now than I did then, at least.
Exactly, David. No, I mean, excellent point, right? And that, coming back to the point why we need to have drilling engineers with that field experience, when you become a drilling engineer and you are planning for a well, let's say operator or service company, you need to know what happened, in the area before. You need to read a lot of daily reports, right? I mean, obviously now with the digitalization process, it is, becoming more efficient. But at the end of the day, you need to have the skill set to be able to read those daily reports, and not just the directional reports, but if you want to really get the full picture of what is happening there and come with a technical solution, you need to understand the other activities, cementing, running casing, and so on, right? So that skill set that you just mentioned, it is fundamental for the drilling engineers. And if they don't have that field experience, it's difficult to appreciate what is the value of doing that.
Yeah, I would tell them all, you have to write it by hand and then send me a picture or email it in to me, scan it in, something like that. Because, I mean, it'll truly make you learn stuff when you have to write, pick up BHA at this time, trip in hole to this. And then no 3-letter acronyms. I got to write it all out. And if they don't know what the acronym is, they got to go ask. So no RIH, no POOH. You got to write out the whole thing. So, but maybe that's just me being mean. All right. So Paul, Josh, Mohammed, and Nestor, we've got some questions coming in. Let's fire these off. Paul asks, Marco, thanks for your answer. You answered one of his questions earlier. So Paul, thanks for asking multiple questions. Can you share what were the biggest barriers or challenges you faced along your career, other than being on the Vidor Locksmith?
Well, that definitely is one. No, I'm going to tell a quick story. As I said, I'm originally from Mexico. One of the main challenges that I got is when I joined this company and started working in the field, they sent me to the US. I started working in Bakersfield. That was my first, location where I started working as a field engineer. So even though, you take classes in English and all those kind of things, but that definitely moved me out of my comfort zone, right? I mean, I was coming from, an English class saying, okay, you say it in this way, going to the rig, and you know what I mean, all the terminology that you get to learn there. It was like, what are you talking about? I never, heard about that. But anyway, so
I think that still happens to people who speak English fluently. You get to the rig and somebody will say something and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And they're like, what are you, worm? And you're like, I honestly don't know what you're talking about. What thing, 3-letter acronyms and all that other stuff. So
yeah,
it might not have been like English to Spanish, but I was English to Australia. So I feel some of the pain there that you were going through. I mean, there were terms there I'd never heard in my life.
Right. So, and that is fundamental, right? Communication skills is very important for, I mean, at that time for a field engineer, but, even for a drilling engineer, again, it is fundamental. I mean, you can have it in your mind. You can have the solution in your mind. If you cannot communicate it, it is not useful, right? And communicated properly. So that is one. The other one is when I start working for this company as a drilling engineer in deep water areas in Gulf of Mexico, and you probably many of you and the audience can appreciate, back then that was 2006, somewhere around there. Salt drilling was becoming a major topic in the industry back then, right? I mean, drilling thousands and thousands of feet of salt and directional and all those kind of things. So, that was one of the major, challenges that I face. But the most important thing is how do you address that, right? And to me, it's just pretty much, you need to put the time to go and learn, educate yourself. Kind of, basically what you are promoting, David. Expose what other experiences are in the past. And I came into this team for that position, drilling engineering team, and I had the typical. I mean, no offense, right? Directional driller coordinator, DD, with 30 years of experience. That he was just, doing all the BHAs and everything, and I was just trying to understand. But that was challenging. Just breaking those barriers, those silos. It was challenging. Once you pass that line, I mean, it was great, and it helped me to develop those skills. So pretty much, I mean, I have many others, but I think I would like to illustrate those.
All right. Well, thanks for answering. Marco, are you involved in turnkey drilling operations? Can you talk about some of the specific challenges associated with those types of drilling projects? Joshua, thanks for the question.
Yeah, good question. No, short answer is no. I'm not involved on those type of projects right now. I mean, I didn't manage, or I didn't manage any of those projects before. I was exposed, but it was, I was basically, working on drill bits at that time, and I saw how they were, implemented and so on, but I didn't really manage that part of the project. So yeah.
I think predicting costs versus possible revenue and what things are outside of your control are probably some of the biggest things there. But I'm just taking a stab at it because I don't know, I've never done it. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to compromise your technical role for the sake of business preference? What is your general advice to the drilling engineers in this situation? Ooh.
Yeah, definitely. Very good question in there. To be honest, I always go to the technical part or stay on the technical side because science and being technical, I mean, there is no way to break that. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if you try to mask a few things here and there, and covering that technical part or that technical concept or reason or whatever you have, sooner or later it's going to come up. So transparency, it is, to me, if I understood the question correctly, it is key, is fundamental. So definitely, especially on my role, my role is do the technical assessment, make sure we understand the problem and we come up with a solution from the technical point of view. So I stick to that.
I was about to say, it's one of those things where if you're doing things technically correct, then it's really hard for you to get yourself into trouble.
Correct. Yep.
Nestor asks, how many times have you found customers that are too focused in cost and AFE than listen to good quality practices for wellbore position, torch velocity that will impact their whole life of the well? I believe I got that right.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean,
thank you for your question, Nestor.
Yeah, I think it's common, and it is probably related to kind of the perception that there are tangible things that you can see. If you don't see, sometimes you just have that perception. Well, yeah, that is happening, but I don't really see it until let's say if it is wellbore positioning or let's say wellbore tortuosity. I mean, we talk about, okay, the micro dog legs here and there in the curve, laterals or whatever, and we understand the concept, the mathematical part of that, of what is happening downhole, let's say, but we don't, we don't see it, we don't touch it, and we don't explore it in that way many times. So it is difficult. It is difficult to convey that. However, by illustrating examples or real case examples, we are able to make a difference in that regard. So the point there is, yes, it is. I don't think we are as a general industry in many cases mature enough to really implement that. I think there is a lot of room to grow on that particular topic, and I think there are a lot of committees promoting that, and I think that is going to be good for the industry.
Excellent. All right, so we've got another one here from Juan. The questions are coming in, so I hope you've got nothing else to do today. How the automation and digitalization will evolve the drilling engineering service in Weatherford, and how a new drilling engineer will be trained. So this goes to something that we talked about the other day that we all wanted to be able to bring up. What do you see as the future of being a drilling engineer, and how is that going to change? How is that going to evolve? And then a great question by Juan here, how are we going to train the new drilling engineers?
Yeah, so let's start with the first question, right? And I really like to do analogies. A lot of times I do analogies because I think there are a lot of similarities with other industries, right? So right, so let's say drilling engineer, right? So you're a mechanical engineer as well, right? So when you go back and think about your mechanical engineering days, so probably you were taking, you were designing or drawing, a particular piece or whatever on paper, right? Then you move into the AutoCAD drilling, or AutoCAD, sorry, put it in the computer, and then you probably move into the when you machine a piece, right, using this CNC, right, and the computer numerical control engines or machines that they manufacture these type of things, right? So everything has been evolving in the same way as the industry, right? I mean, our industry, the oil and gas industry, right? So the drilling engineer probably started drawing just the trajectory, just the directional trajectory, then probably got a little bit more sophisticated when he started running, hydraulics, torque and drag, and so on, and vibration analysis sometimes. And now we have, significant advances in modeling different VHAs and all those kind of things. But now I think we're moving more into the digital side, right? I mean, probably first digitalization, right? And this digital twin concept, for example, that is help us to streamline the process between, the transition between planning and execution. It is fundamental. But if you look back, that digital twin concept, it was coming from manufacturing, right? I mean, from manufacturing any piece, any component, right? So what we're doing here is pretty much where manufacturing was, right? So what I'm trying to get at is the concept, the techniques are very similar. It's just we just need to adopt those, right? So definitely digitalization. And sometimes we say, well, is digitalization? What does that really mean? Is basically we have the tools to make our job faster. If previously we had to read all these daily reports and put together a risk assessment and a stick chart and all those kind of things, what if we can have all that in a single platform that help us to translate that to the execution phase, that the DD can see ahead of time basically all what we did, rather than reading a 200-page document where you collect all the risk assessment, all the drilling program. I mean, I'm probably sure, and it depends on the type of well, right? I mean, probably land, it may be a very, thin drilling program, but then there may be some ERD wells, deep water wells, more challenging wells that they may require to have a very extensive drilling program. But how can you translate that? How can you streamline that process from that big document, instead of just reading it, into something that you can have visually and it's already there in the same platform, right? So to me, I think that is where the big win is for the drilling engineers. Basically, if we can, optimize our time and focus more into the thinking process on how we can make things better using the best tools, I think that will be that is the way forward for digitalization, and then obviously that will end up into automation. Now, regarding training, yes, I mean, COVID, it just forced us to actually migrate to deliver training virtually in Weatherford, right? So we pretty much convert our regular classroom setup for training into digital. So, and last year we delivered at least, two, well, for drilling engineering, well planning. So we deliver probably 5 to 7 just drilling services, but pretty much the entire drilling or the entire training program for Weatherford, it was converted into virtual format. So so I think that is how it's being done. In terms of training for the drilling engineers and for even for field engineers and R&M technicians and so on.
Well, let me get to, where did it go? Okay, so this one's gonna go a little bit sideways here. It's a little bit different than we've had before as far as some of the questions. So Lee asks, some areas have become so cookie cutter as far as BHA and tools. How would you approach these areas to engage change?
Yeah, and I think it becomes as part of the drilling engineering cycle, right? That as you mentioned, cookie cutter. And one DD one time told me, and probably I don't remember exactly the words, but there are multiple ways to skin a cat, right? So sometimes we feel just comfortable that the way that we're doing it, and we say, yeah, this is the best way. But the way to establish change, to me, is we need to get data. If we come up with data and we demonstrate, and I know it's still challenging many times, right? I mean, because sometimes it's just the mindset, but it's just persistency to show them that things can be done different and they will be better for them and for the industry in general. So persistency and getting back into the data, I think that is just the way to change that. It is challenging, to be honest. It is very difficult because I mean sometimes it's difficult to change just the mindset of people.
Michael, asks, she's been on this show before. She was one of the key moderators for the Drilling Systems Automation Technical section that happened just a couple of weeks ago. They have a great talk and relevant points. Do you see the role of the driller on the rig changing based on the digital tools, i.e. digital twins, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, long term, I would say yes. I think at some point it's going to get there, right? I mean, and again, if we take the manufacturing process as an analogy, right? Many times you have these big, CNC machines with multiple tools in there. Everything is automated, and pretty much you just put the raw material in there, and then you get this amazing, piece already manufactured in there, right? So, but still you need to have someone to, it's going to put the raw material in there. It's going to, do the programming and so on. So I think it's going to be a transformation on the roles from what we typically have as the standard structure of how we are operating. So it doesn't mean that it's going to be a replacement. I think it's going to be a transformation of these roles and responsibilities from different team members once we get full into digitalization and automation.
So then we've got Leon asking, Marco, do you see changes in the skills and training and focus of drilling engineers considering the growing decommissioning requirements and / activity in mature fields? Would this fall into the getting outside of your comfort zone?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
Leon, thank you for the question.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, for decommissioning, and I'm not too familiar with that part, but definitely with mature fields, right? I mean, mature fields, and based on my experience, again, you are trying to maximize basically that particular, get every single drop of hydrocarbon that you can get, and that is where you can combine multiple things. You can combine your LWD equipment to maximize that. You can combine that with having the right hole size at TD. It is fundamental, right? Because once you are starting from a pre-existing structure, you are limited with the size that you could have at TD, and having that small size at TD, it may not be economically, feasible. So yeah, drilling engineering definitely. I mean, I would say just engineering. It is fundamental on that particular topic.
So Paul's got kind of a long question here, so he talks about stuck pipe and the use of a new technology to be able to free it. So more in general terms, for you being a drilling engineer and obviously working with a company that's got a lot of verticals in it, there's a lot of solutions within your company. How do you go about introducing a new technology that might be outside of your company, but you see as a good fit for the application that may be taking place?
Yeah, I mean, we have different projects where we are suggesting and trialing different technologies that are not necessarily Weatherford technologies, right? And that they bring value to the customer. At the end of the day, if we go back to our mission as drilling engineers, which is safely deliver these wells, achieving technical limit for our customers. That is basically, when we say the technical limit, we strive to achieve that. It doesn't really matter what, we just want to get there. I mean, it doesn't matter what we need to do, but we just need to get there. And that is kind of the approach that we are getting, with our solutions for drilling, right? So at the end of the day, yes, we work with, let's say, other companies to achieve that particular objective, which is achieving the technical limit. So yeah, we have done it.
So a follow-up question, because obviously you're in the exact same boat as somebody else in the industry that's trying to sell to a drilling engineer, because you yourself are a drilling engineer that are selling to drilling engineers, right? With your service and your products. what's the best way you think to be able to approach either yourself or a new client with a technology that maybe nobody's ever heard of before? It's something that's completely kind of outside of the box. What's the best way to really be able to get somebody's attention or be able to get your attention with that?
Yeah, I mean, well, definitely, having the first conversation is critical, right? I mean, and showing what is behind the scenes and what is the intention of that particular technology. As we said, we're all engineers. If the technology is there, if this outside of the box solution is there, is because there is a problem and it has been defined, and that is the solution. So if we can see those three main points in there, to be honest, I think it will show value itself.
Excellent. All right, let me scroll through here because I haven't been checking the questions. Which is better, push the bit RSS or point the bit RSS? Knowing that you were just a part of the Gibson Reports virtually rotary steerable event that took place 2 weeks ago, I figured I'd let you take that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great question. I mean, and I think someone put a similar question in there, right? I mean, what is better? And I think it depends a lot on the application, right? What are you trying to achieve, right? Based on what we have seen in the industry, most of the applications are suited with a push-the-bit system. They can be done with a push-the-bit system, and that is, if you look at the RSS market, probably, I'm just going to put a number, 70-75% of the applications, they can be done with a push-the-bit system. Point-the-bit, they are probably more specific. But they have an area where they will outperform the push-the-bit. So I think it comes down to defining the drilling requirements, doing the drilling engineering analysis for that particular application, and then you can say, yes, a push-the-bit, point-the-bit will be the best fit for this particular application.
All right, so now we've got a couple of more questions. We got some that are kind of somewhat similar here, so I'll pack two of them in here. So we've got Mark that's asking, can you actually envision a time where the rig floor is absolutely empty of personnel? There are tons of automations being created and developed daily. And then Andy also asked, which I'm not saying that they're both matching up right there with each other, but we've had a lot of these questions are very similar in nature today. With the increase in AI and machine learning tools in oil and gas, what impacts do you see this having on the drilling engineer? So one part is, what's the impact for the field level guys? And obviously that's part of the drilling engineer's job, as you were saying, is to be able to take control and know how to be able to use that machinery, and then the AI implementation of it.
Yeah, I mean, probably about 2-3 weeks ago, I attended a couple of events where the topic was that how can you automate the rig, and there was one very good presentation where they actually present how they can automate the rig floor and have pretty much nobody there. I mean, doing the connections and running pipe and all those kind of things, right? So definitely, I think we are getting closer and closer to that point. Obviously, there are a lot of things, economics that they need to factors that they need to come into play. But I think at some point, yeah, we are heading that way. And again, if we just take the analogy on other industry, again, the manufacturing industry, you will see that has been the trend, right? I mean, it is just that probably we haven't evolved as quickly as other industries.
Okay. Scott asks, is point a bit better in softer form? Excuse me, is point a bit better in softer formations?
Yes, I mean, yeah. Again, some general questions in there. So I will answer also general. Yeah, in general terms, yes. Point a bit will be probably a better suit in there. And obviously there are different ways on how you point the bit, right? I mean, even though we can say just point the bit, but there are the internal components on how the different RSS work, they will require different things, right? They will point a bit in a different way, and that will also impact. Some of them, they will be probably more effective on software formations than others.
So Scott asks, our industry is really struggling to engage young engineers. What would you say to a graduate about the industry today without them throwing their lunch at you?
Yeah, no, I mean this is a great question, and I think we have room to. There is still a lot of things that we can do, and as I said, just by comparing, again, sorry for coming back to the same point, but just by comparing what the other industries are doing versus where we are, I think we still have a long way to go, right? And definitely understanding the industry, maximizing, getting the industry up to that level of automation, digitalization, and so on. I think there is still a lot of room, a lot of work to do. What happens is that sometimes, not there could be that there are no, financial resources, or people, they don't want to roll their sleeves and go and do the work.
Okay. Somebody said here, we should hold a sweepstakes to see how long David can stare at the camera without blinking. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. When AI gets implemented in a lot of areas, drilling business, a lot of people will have a good comfort zone, which is their homes. Well, you can always work from home, but it's not going to quite reduce the number of people.
Right.
All right. Wow. I caught up with all the questions. At least I think I caught up with all of them. You guys, if I missed something that you guys put into the comment section, please throw it back out there. I'd be happy to be able to ask it, be able to kind of keep everything rolling along here. It's been an absolutely phenomenal episode. Marco, thanks so much for being here. One of my questions is, I always like to be able to talk about the MWD and directional drilling side of the business, and obviously that plays a large role in drilling engineering. What do you see as the future of that side of the business? Where do you see the role of MWD and directional drilling technology more specifically going forward?
Yeah. So to me, I think basically, automation, as we have been talking about, and many times I think we focus on that, which is probably the big wave that we are experiencing right now. However, I am still focusing a lot on materials, right? I mean, we still see a lot of things that we can improve on making sure that the tools or the equipment that we have will last and will survive the environment. Every time we're going deeper and different conditions, higher pressures, higher temperatures, and so on. So I think there is still a lot of room to improve that. Different techniques as well. We're talking about the MWD, probably moving out of the typical mod telemetry, pulse telemetry system. Having that kind of a development, I think it will be required. I mean, if we put it in context, we want to have everything faster and easier in terms of access. So anything that we can do on those two aspects for the MWD and the directional side, I think that is where we should be heading.
So I know this says how difficult for Weatherford, but maybe this is, you don't have to speak directly to Weatherford, because I know that you work for a publicly traded company, so speaking on their behalf can be a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you find it to be able to protect your intellectual property rights and proprietary technology from cyber criminals? Is this something that's even is this something that's in y'all's mind frame and or maybe the IT department is making y'all aware of, or is it just one of those things that's there's somebody handling it and they've given you guys the procedures on what to do to make sure so things don't happen?
Right. No, I mean, short answer is yes. That is something that is being considered, and it is important, right? So definitely, technology and IP, it is very, very important. So yeah, there are measures to make sure that we don't get into that situation.
All right, Armin asks, Armin, thanks for watching today, man. I appreciate it. What limitations have you seen with some of the AI utilization for optimization?
Right. Well, to be honest, I think is just having that implementation, globally. I think that is where we are struggling, and the more that we use it, the better we can get in that artificial intelligence part. So, I mean, definitely, I think it's just promoting that better in our industry, adopting that. It is not an easy task, but definitely, I think we will know more as we are, deploying that and implementing that and adopting that, globally.
All right, last question we've got here. Do you see an eventual implementation of RTOC to streamline well site supervision? So like for the company man, do you see the company man going remote?
Well, probably not.
At least I hope that was the question, Josh. So at least that's the way I interpreted it. So.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I think probably not in the short term. That will be my perception. That maybe in the future, but still, I think that role is critical. When you are in charge of of drilling a well, and one thing again, if we just translate this into manufacturing, when you are manufacturing, you are cutting something on a piece of material. You control that, the quality of the material. What you are facing, how you are going to machine it or shave it or manufacture it. When we are drilling wells, you are pretty much, you need to expect the unexpected, right? I mean, you are dealing with Mother Nature here. So you cannot control, you have an idea, right? And especially if it is development, you have an idea of what is downhole. But many times, you don't know what you're going to be facing or when you are going to encounter that particular scenario. So I think not. The answer will be probably no in the short term.
Yeah. I know one of the, I've had Mark Anderson and John DeWart, and as well as many other DSAT individuals come on before. And Mark Anderson kind of put it to me this way. He's like, do you think that the rig will be automated at some point in time in the future? And most people say yes. Okay, so it's not whether the rig is going to be automated or not. It's about when is the rig going to be automated. Is it now or is it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? But at some point in time, we believe that it'll happen. It's just now, not if it'll happen, but when it will happen. So I've always taken that into consideration just to think, is it 1,000 years in the future that the rig is fully automated? It's like, I could see that. Yeah, 1,000 rigs. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but did it happen at exactly 1,000 years or does it happen at 200 years, 300 years, something like that? So it's always kind of an interesting way to be able to kind of look at that. And I think, your analogy, your parallels there between becoming a mechanical engineer and doing the drafting, doing the CAD work, and then doing the CNC work, really kind of like puts a lot of this stuff into perspective, because you're doing a lot of the exact same things. It's just in a different industry, different application, but it's the procedures and the steps are essentially all the same.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Well, Marco, thank you so much for being on the show today. We've kind of gotten through all the questions here in the comment section. I want to say thanks for everybody out there that's watching. Marco, any last words, anything that you would like to be able to share with the audience and everybody out there today?
First, thank you again, David, for the invite. Thank you, everyone that is watching and will be watching later on, because I know, I watched your shows after the fact as well, and not only one time, but multiple times. So, thank you, everyone. So I guess the only extra message that I can share is, this quote. Also, I like quotes, right? And sometimes I'm not so good at remembering exactly word by word. But one thing that I remember is Winston Churchill saying, he who fails to plan is planning to fail. So that is so, to me, so true that I want to communicate that not just internally with our drilling engineering community in Weatherford, but with the entire industry. And it has been, I mean, I'm sure almost everyone has heard that before. But I think if we don't just hear it, we live by it. I think we will make a difference, and we will have that continuous improvement plan. So thank you, everyone.
Well, Marco, thank you so much. All right, everybody. So a couple of quick updates. April 1st with Luis Gonzalez, we're going 100% in Spanish. Next Friday will be Chris Montan. He's a former drilling engineer from Marathon. We're really going to dive deep into him and what he expects from his service companies, what he's looking for out of service, how he goes about selecting them, what are some of the follies that may have happened as the time that he was a drilling engineer, and what his future entails. So really happy to have him on. He was also part of the Rotary Steerable event a couple of weeks ago. So we've had Marco that was part, Chris Montan that was a part, and then we'll be jumping into Luis Gonzalez. So it's like 3 straight weeks of drilling engineers, guys, right there. The week after that, I honestly don't remember who's coming on. I think it's Julian Stahl with Rogi. I think they're who's next, and then Eric Van Ort from University of Texas, and then Todd Brooker should be coming on to the show as well. That'll get us up to, I think, about show number 85 or so, and so then we got 15 more, and I think episode number 100 should happen sometime in August. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to try to get everything finished being booked out, leading all the way up. One of the guys that's commented in the comment section here recently, Graham's been on the show. We're going to need to get him back on. So as soon as I get done here, I'm going to give him a shout. Let me know who else that you guys might like to have here on the show. If it's somebody in geology, if it's somebody in geomechanics, if it's somebody that's completely outside of our industry, if they're an author, whatever, stick me on them, and I'll do my best to be able to get them to come here on the show. So appreciate everybody watching. Marco, thank you so much for being here, and let's see if I can get it pulled up so I can do my outro at just the right time. And as always, everybody, know your industry.